We don't know, Dave. And when you actually did a whole video on this, there's a package insert for the vaccine, and it will tell you what pre-licensing studies were done. And the amount of days that they monitored the child for adverse events was 5 days. 5 days. We don't know. We don't know. And when you're taking this kind of a risk with a disease that your kid is probably never going to get, and if there is a risk, we can test for that risk before vaccinating them. What ended up happening was Merck created the vaccine. This is, I don't have concrete proof of this. This is what I've heard. This is my opinion on the matter, but Merck was asked to create it. And it was initially, this is fact, recommended for intravenous drug users and sex workers. But that group of people, that demography, is not really interested in preventing disease, so they didn't get it.
Right.
And Merck's like, we're losing our ass here. Just FYI, we're getting killed. So they lobbied the World Health Organization to make it a mandate. They lobbied the CDC to get it on the schedule. They funded the Every Child Buy Two campaign, which I think was headed by Rosalind Carter. This is all true. And now it's a guaranteed sale once it's on the schedule. It is an $8 billion a year business, projected to reach $13 billion by, I believe it was 2032. We don't know.
What do you think? So if we don't have a particularly reliable set of people, let's say at the mainstream level, which we're all on board, that now we have the thing that we're in. And what do you think the responsibility is for those of us that do this to be truthful? I'll give you an example that'll be a little personal to you. I was watching a clip that you did on a different show where you were sitting with a couple of ladies, and one of the ladies, I won't even mention her name, was spouting some complete nonsense about the Gaza aid situation. And it was completely debunked later in the day. I'm guessing that there was no correction issued or anything. I knew when I saw the clip, I was like, I know this is not true. It's so obviously going to be debunked. It was fully debunked. What do you think the responsibility is in general? And I mean this for everybody. I mean it for me. I mean it for Rogan. I mean it for you.
Dave, of Israel. Here's the problem with this one for me personally.
I don't even mean this specifically about Israel. I mean, just in general, what is our responsibility towards the truth?
But if I was to answer that honestly, that one is so deep and so complex, and it is tied up with so much hatred. And you have to be so erudite to combat it. Like, I watched the clip that you posted of the lady on Piers last night, and who was so eloquent and articulate at explaining. D, I can't fight back. I don't know. And for me to go down that rabbit hole, I could never. I'm like, Jill, like, interview experts. I had Barry Weiss come on my podcast to give some context. But when I personally get caught up in those moments, you're thinking like, well, I trust this news person. Yeah. You know, Dave Smith has said the same thing. And I happen to love Dave Smith. I think he's a great guy. We disagree on this issue, but he's so well-versed and I'm not, that when he tells you.
I mean, he's not particularly well-versed.
So, okay, you know that. Yeah. I don't know that. And this is one where I'm like, I am not going to become an expert on this. I'm going to go to the Barry Weisses. I'm going to go to the Dave Rubins and say, give me the counter argument. I do think that corrections need to be issued, but people are so caught up in their bias that they simply don't. I try to.
Yeah. Is the problem there's just no mechanism for it now? You know, we have Community Notes that's doing some version of it, but for the podcast world that now is the teacher, what could the mechanism be? Like, we decentralize and then we would need some kind of centralized fact-checking apparatus, and that's not really what people want. So it's just kind of the Wild West, and we got to accept it.
It is, but I think you have to take agency. Yeah. And you know, recently, God knows what this is going to look like. The New York Times is doing a piece on me. I'm sure it'll be a hit piece, but then at least I could, I'll feel like I'm accomplished.
Welcome to the club. Front page of the New York Times, head of the alt-right. Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm so excited. Yeah. Okay, good. I feel good about it. Like, I did one on humor, so it's my turn. Mm-hmm. And I knew it probably
Wait,
maybe
so you know it's incoming because
I agreed to it.
Oh, you agreed to it?
I agreed to it. And maybe it won't be.
Yeah,
you know, maybe
I've been part of those too. That one I was not part of. Sometimes I'm part of ones that I don't do it anymore. No, it will be.
I figure.
One way, it has to be one way or another. They're not looking to...
Right, they're not going to elevate a dissenting voice.
Yeah.
So, nevertheless, this journalist showed up to a few of my podcasts because I had recorded a couple same day. And she criticized the fact that I didn't push back on different things. And I said, but I'm not professing to be an expert here. I'm learning from these guests. I can't push. I'm not a geopolitical expert. I'm not an economist. I'm getting different perspectives, and I will put people from different sides of the spectrum on. I'll have Barry Weiss and I'll have Dave Smith. And then the goal for the audience is to turn around and you're gonna have to do your own work on it. And at the end of the day, you're going to hear different things. For example, if we go back to the hepatitis B conversation, Kennedy said they did this research. They found an 1,135% increased risk of autism with the hepatitis B vaccine. And then they did 5 iterations of the study to bury the results. The way they buried the results, they kicked out older kids and used only younger kids who were too young to be diagnosed with autism. Now, the CDC and the study's author came out and said, no. We expanded this study so significantly. We looked at 140,000 kids. We made it better. It was all so much better, and found no causal link. Who are you going to believe? Now you know what you need to do?
Right.
Now you need to look at the freaking study. How old were the freaking kids? How did they do the study? Blah, blah, blah. And you'll get the answer.
You can see why some people just check out of all of
this. If I had an incoming baby, though,
so that
I would I would take the friggin' time. And if I had a time machine, I would not have given my son, my daughter was born in Haiti, but I would have not done the hepatitis B vaccine. Except the issue, of course, is that once it's on the CDC schedule, it's essentially a federal mandate because most schools are like, oh, no, we're going to need those vaccination records. Your kid can't come to school. And now you're starting to see conservatives who are homeschooling their kids.
Yeah.
And that's one reason. Indoctrination is another. But it's a wild period.
So actually, that was my next question. So if you were having kids right now, if you had a child that was going to be born tomorrow, what would you be doing? Or not?
Minimal. Yeah. So what I would do is look at each of the vaccines and what are the pathogens that they're meant to immunize my child against. Having had whooping cough at this point, which I was supposed to see you for dinner when I was getting over it. Oh my God. And thought it was reactive airway.
On the phone, so
having had that, a newborn getting whooping cough, there's a reason a child would die from this. Adults have died from this. I would 100% say, you know what? The cost-benefit analysis here of my child getting whooping cough is going to be a pass. Please vaccinate the kid. Hepatitis B is a sexually transmitted disease that you also get from intravenous drug use. So that's not going to happen. And my ex, who gave birth to our son, did not have hepatitis B. So it's going to be a hard pass for me. So that's the first thing.
So that's the one that's very confusing to people because basically if you're in a monogamous relationship and there's no reason to think that the mother has hepatitis B, there's really no way this kid's going to get hepatitis B unless the argument is, when they're 4, like they're going to be
the argument
or something.
Is, here's the argument because I've really tried to understand it.
Yeah.
They could step on a needle at a playground. Okay. They could interact with a family member that has hepatitis B an open sore, who will then put the open sore on the child's eyeballs. I'm actually dead ass serious. And I looked into, because of course I have to speak on this now, despite the fact that I'm not a vaccine scientist, but at least tell people what to look for. I'm not going to tell you what to think. I'm going to tell you what to think about and where to do the research. How many kids in America used to get hepatitis B? 18,000 a year. Okay, well, 18,000 kids, we don't want them to have hepatitis B. And obviously that number has been virtually wiped out. But how many tens of millions of kids are in this country? With that said, of those 18,000, arguably they got it from mom. Could you test mom?
Right.
Yes. Yes. So
in this case, the argument isn't necessarily there's something wrong with the vaccine or something damaging with the vaccine. It's just kind of like, why is there just like another thing?
No.
Yeah.
We don't know, Dave. And when you actually did a whole video on this, there's a package insert for the vaccine, and it will tell you what pre-licensing studies were done.
Mm-hmm.
And the amount of days that they monitored the child for adverse events was 5 days.
Mm-hmm.
5 days. We don't know. We don't know. And when you're taking this kind of a risk with a disease that your kid is probably never going to get, and if there is a risk, we can test for that risk before vaccinating them. What ended up happening was Merck created the vaccine. This is, I don't have concrete proof of this. This is what I've heard. This is my opinion on the matter, but Merck was asked to create it. And it was initially, this is fact, recommended for intravenous drug users and sex workers. But that group of people, that demography, is not really interested in preventing disease, so they didn't get it.
Right.
And Merck's like, we're losing our ass here. Just FYI, we're getting killed. So they lobbied the World Health Organization to make it a mandate. They lobbied the CDC to get it on the schedule. They funded the Every Child Buy 2 campaign, which I think was headed by Rosalind Carter. This is all true. And now it's a guaranteed sale once it's on the schedule. It is an $8 billion a year business, projected to reach $13 billion by, I believe it was 2032. We don't know.
For more insightful conversations on how to live the good life, go to our lifestyle playlist. And if you want to watch full interviews on a wide variety of topics, watch our full episode playlist, all right over here. And to get notified of all future videos, be sure to subscribe and click the notification bell.